Death Count, the new novel by L.A. Graff. Sulu's on the cover! We got one! We got him on one! Now is he in the book, though, or is he just a token character at this point? The disappearance of Andorian scientific genius Muav Heslev fuels tensions between the Orions and Andorians, tensions that come dangerously close to full-scale war. Captain Kirk and the crew of the USS Enterprise are called to Starbase Sigma-1, located on the edge of Andorian-Orion space, to patrol the sector as a deterrent to hostilities. On arrival, the crew encounters an inexplicable series of events, beginning with missing equipment and shipboard malfunctions. After a deadly transporter accident, Kirk suspects sabotage, suspicions that are confirmed by the mysterious murders of 3 Federation officials. Now, Kirk and crew must put together the fragmented pieces of the puzzle before the Starship Enterprise faces destruction and the galaxy faces interplanetary war. We got Sulu on the cover. That's all that matters. He finally made it. He finally made the cut. Legacy by Michael Jan Friedman. John Friedman. Is that Pike? A routine survey of the planet Alpha Octavius 4 turns disastrous as Spock is attacked and poisoned by a huge creature, and Kirk's landing party is trapped underground by a violent earthquake. As Spock fights for his life in sickbay, Scotty organizes a research for Kirk and his men. However, rescue efforts must cease when the USS Enterprise is called away to the Beta Cabrini system, where a mining colony is under heavy attack. At Beta Cabrini, the USS Enterprise faces off against a marauder named Dreen, a man that Spock had watched his former captain, Christopher Pike, defeat years before. Fighting the effects of the poison, Spock struggles to his feet and takes command of the ship. Soon, Spock and Dreen are locked into a deadly game of cat and mouse, a game driven by mad revenge that can have only one survivor. It is Pike. It's Christopher Pike on there. This is number 56. That's cool. That's cool to see Pike make an appearance. Dreadnought! I do have it. I was concerned about that earlier. I don't know if you guys are still watching or not, or how long ago it was. Diane Carey. It almost makes me think that's Nicolas Cage for a second there, but it's not. Star Empire is the Federation's most powerful new weapon, a dreadnought, first in a class of super starships capable of outgunning a dozen Klingon cruisers or subduing a galaxy. On the eve of her maiden voyage, Star Empire is stolen by terrorists who demand a rendezvous with the Enterprise, and with Lieutenant Piper, stationed aboard Kirk's ship on her first training cruise. Now Piper must discover why her friends from Starfleet are among the terrorists, and why they insist the ship was stolen not to attack the Federation, but to save it. Alright, back to Deep Space Nine. Antimatter. John Vornholt. We've got Dax and Sisko on the cover. The Bajoran shipyard is assigned to build an engine for a new starship, a project which could be instrumental in revitalizing the planet's war-ravished economy. As Commander Sisko awaits the arrival of a tanker containing the antimatter that will power the starship, a band of hijackers captures the extremely valuable cargo and escapes through the wormhole. When the hijacking spurs a political debate, Major Kira struggles to mediate the dispute between the opposing factions. Meanwhile, Sisko makes a desperate move to retrieve the antimatter. With the stability of the Bajoran economy at stake, Sisko, Dax, and Odo infiltrate the hijackers, a move that could have deadly consequences for them and the planet Bajor. Alright then. Ice Trap by L.A. Graff. Sent to the icebound planet of Nordstrahl to investigate a mysterious outbreak of insanity, the crew of the USS Enterprise find themselves drawn into another, even deadlier mystery upon their arrival. A team of research scientists has disappeared on Nordstrahl's frozen wasteland, leaving no clue to their whereabouts and no hint of their fate. While Uhura and Chekhov tackle the mystery surrounding the scientist's disappearance, Kirk and McCoy search for the truth behind the outbreak of mental illness. But both teams soon find themselves in danger as the planet undergoes a series of massive earthquakes and electromagnetic disruptions. Unable to contact the USS Enterprise, both teams must fight for their lives as they try to solve the mystery of Nordstrahl before the world tears itself apart. Interesting. Ooh, demons. I like that cover. That's a pretty cover. Long before the Federation, a powerful force invaded our galaxy and almost destroyed it. A force that began with possession and madness and ended in murder. A Starfleet research expedition to the farthest reaches of the galaxy has unearthed that force once again and brought its silent evil back to the planet Vulcan. Now Spock must defeat the demons that threaten his friends and family, or the Enterprise will become the instrument of the galaxy's destruction. It is number 30. She looks like trouble. It's beautiful, but she looks like trouble. We are getting close to the end. Anything that's not Star Trek, I will show you guys after. I'm trying to stick with the Star Trek ones right now, so. This one I was excited to see because I saw recently another one of the YouTubers that's doing Book Trek, and I watched so many that I don't even remember who it was, but one of them had this book, and it actually looked really, really good. So this is How Much for Just the Planet by John M. Ford. Dilithium. In crystalline form, the most valuable mineral in the galaxy. It powers the Federation's starships and the Klingon Empire's battlecruisers, now on a small, out-of-the-way planet named Diridae. The greatest fortune in dilithium crystals ever seen has been found. Under the terms of the Organian Peace Treaty, the planet will go to the side best able to develop the planet and its resources. Each side will contest the prize with the prime of its fleet. For the Federation, Captain James T. Kirk and the Starship Enterprise. For the Klingons, Captain Kaden Vestai Operai and the Fire Blossom. Only the Diridians are writing their own script for this contest, a script that propels the crew of the Enterprise into their strangest adventure yet. This looks like a fun one. This looks like it'll be quirky. Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. So another novelization of one of the films. At last, Admiral James T. Kirk and the crew of the late Starship Enterprise begin the long voyage home. Suckers. But their trip is interrupted by the appearance of a mysterious, all-powerful intruder. Suddenly, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and the rest of the crew must journey back through time to 20th century Earth, for only there can they save the future by rescuing the past. On the back, you have like the old crew there. Fun! The Patreon Transgression. Simon Hawke. It's kind of like Lurch. The USS Enterprise is sent to Patria 1, to discuss that world's... I don't understand. If you're Patria 1, why aren't you just Patria? Why would you... To discuss that world's application for Federation membership. But Captain Kirk and his landing party soon discover that the Patrians have a strict system of laws that are enforced by a telepathic police force. In the midst of this startling revelation, the crew finds themselves in the middle of Patria's growing political unrest. Caught between the Patrian telepathic police force, say that 3 times fast, and a deadly group of terrorists, Kirk, Spock, and the others must fight for their lives on a world where their thoughts make them criminals, and all crimes are punished by death. Ooh, so it's like a Minority Report kind of thing. And that's always terrified me. I have some very intrusive thoughts, and if people were ever to read my thoughts and judge me by them, I wouldn't have any friends. I would not have. The people would be terrified to speak to me, I think, like, ever. Firestorm. Number 68. I think I've missed the numbers on a few of these, so I do apologize. There's a lot of them. I still have some more. When a covert Elysian mining operation interferes with a Federation geological expedition, Captain James T. Kirk and the crew of the Starship Enterprise are dispatched to the planet Rakatan to mediate between the rival parties. The Elysian dolmen claims that the planet and its dilithium deposits are hers, but the geologists warn that if Rakatan Mons, the galaxy's largest stratovolcano, should interrupt while the Elysians are mining its flanks, no amount of dilithium will save them. While Lieutenant Commander Uhura and a landing party struggle to determine if the dolmen's claim is true, Captain Kirk puts his ship on the line to keep the two sides from each other's throats. Soon, however, concerns over the planet's ownership are overshadowed by the arrival of a hostile Elysian armada and a cataclysmic volcanic explosion on the surface that threatens all parties with a deadly shower of destruction. Ooh! Okay, so I have a guilty pleasure, and that is movies about, like, volcanoes and like natural disaster movies, like volcanoes, twisters, those type, like, those things. I love them. They are such a, like, guilty pleasure for me, and that sounds like this is kind of like Star Trek, but also with a volcano, like, threat. Like, so that'll be a fun one. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so we only do actually have, like, a few more to go. Let's see. I'll just get the rest of them out. There we go. So that's, after this we're done. So we've got a few more Star Treks, and then, like, the extra ones at the bottom that are something else. Uhura's Song. That's got a kitty. Janet Kagan. Years ago, Lieutenant Uhura befriended a diplomat from Au, the land of graceful cat-like beings. The two women exchanged forbidden songs and promised never to reveal their secret. Now the Enterprise is orbiting Au in a desperate race to save the inhabitants before a deadly plague destroys them. Uhura's secret songs may hold the key to a cure, but the clues are veiled in layers of mystery. The plague is killing humans, threatening other planets, and Kirk must crack the code before the Enterprise succumbs. That's fascinating. How does exchanging songs... That one sounds really good. That sounds very intriguing. This was another one that I saw in one of the videos of someone that's going to read for Book Trek. So I was excited to find this one too. Ishmael. Barbara Hambly. Spock looks so cute in normal clothes. I really like it when he's wearing the beanie to, like, try to cover his ears. The Enterprise is on a peaceful mission at Starbase 12 when a bizarre cosmic phenomenon causes a Klingon ship to suddenly vanish, with Spock aboard for the ride. Spock's last message from the Klingon ship is cryptic and frightening. The Klingons are traveling into the past, searching for the one man who holds a vital key to the future. If they can kill that man, the course of history will be changed, and the Federation will be destroyed. Interesting. Deep Domain. Howard Weinstein. That's a really cool cover. I don't know what kind of sea creature that is. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like the fins are going, like, the way that a whale's would, but then it also looks like it has, like, a third fin, like the way that a shark's would. So it's interesting to find out what kind of critter it is. A routine diplomatic visit to the water world of Akala becomes a nightmarish search for a missing Spock and Chekhov, a search that plunges Admiral Kirk headlong into a corrupt government's desperate struggle to retain power. For both a Federation science outpost and Akala's valiant freedom fighters have begun uncovering the ancient secrets hidden beneath her tranquil oceans. Secrets whose exposure may mean civil war for the people of Akala and death for the crew of the Starship Enterprise. Those are some high stakes. Death and Civil War. Not good. Oh! I think this is one of the ones I picked up without really looking at it. I got a Voyager one. Caretaker. Ooh, with an exclusive 8-page photo insert. L.A. Graph. Based on the script. So this one is based on... Okay. I've only ever watched Voyager once. I've never done a rewatch of Voyager. So I might end up having the same kind of attitude change about it that I did with Deep Space Nine. We'll see. But I don't think even when I first watched it, I don't think I watched it all the way through the first time. So I should rewatch it. More than any other television show, more than any other motion picture series, Star Trek has, for nearly 30 years, been the most popular space adventure of all time. Now, Star Trek Voyager joins Star Trek The Next Generation, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine as the newest star in the ever-expanding Star Trek universe. Pocket Books is proud to present the novelization of Caretaker, the premiere episode of Star Trek Voyager. This is the story of Catherine Janeway and the crew of the starship Voyager, transported by the alien technology to the other side of the galaxy, years away from the Federation and everything they call home. Their voyage back will be a fantastic odyssey that will take them through uncharted space, into dangers as they travel where no one has gone before. All right, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, number 6, Betrayal. Lois Tilton? Lois Tilton. Ambassadors from all over the Federation have assembled on Deep Space Nine for a conference that will determine the future of the planet Bajor. Keeping dozens of alien ambassadors happy is hard enough, but when hidden terrorists start blowing up the station, Commander Benjamin Sisko must track a hidden enemy who strikes at will. Then things get even worse. A new Cardassian commander arrives, demanding the return of Deep Space Nine to the Cardassian Empire. You can't have it. You can't have it back. It's ours. We licked it. With Deep Space Nine now a dangerous minefield, Sisko must defuse a situation that threatens to the very existence of the planet Bajor. Okay. Whatever, Cardassians. Web of the Romulans. MS Murdoch. That's another nice ship. Ravaged by a killer virus, the Romulans enter Kanara, where the only antidote can be found. Desperate, they incite a victorious Enterprise attack on one of their vessels, but Kirk discovers their ruse. Meanwhile, the central computer has fallen in love with him, severely crippling the Enterprise. Now Kirk must bring the antidote to the Romulans before the galaxy crashes over the brink of war. What? The central computer has fallen in love with him. With Kirk? Kirk and the Enterprise battle an enemy warship, an amorous computer, and a galaxy's heading for war. Okay. It's that Riz. Kirk has that Riz. A Flag Full of Stars. The second book in the Lost Years saga. Okay, cool. So this is another one that... Okay. Number 54, Brad Ferguson. I like it. It's got like that 3D. That's cool. I like that kind of stuff. It has been 18 months since the Starship Enterprise completed her historic 5-year mission and her legendary crew has separated, taking new assignments that span the galaxy. On Earth, Admiral James T. Kirk has married and started a new life as the Chief of Starfleet Operations, where he is overseeing the refit of his beloved ship, now commanded by a new captain, Willard Decker. Kirk's only tie to his former crewmates is his Chief of Staff, a young lieutenant commander named Kevin Riley. But Kirk's new, quiet life changes when he meets a scientist named Gaddath, who is on the brink of perhaps the greatest scientific discovery in a century. Gaddath's invention could mean tremendous strides in Federation technology, or in the wrong hands, the subjugation of countless worlds. When Klingon agents capture this new technology, Admiral Kirk and Lieutenant Commander Riley are all that stands between peace and devastation for the entire Federation. Dun, dun, dun. Sorry. All right, and I believe, sort of, this is the last fiction book that I have for Star Trek. Renegade by Jean DeWeese. This is a good one to end on. We got the Three Amigos again. Number 55. For nearly 100 years, the planet Shrelkin 4 has enjoyed a peaceful relationship with the colony on the third planet of its star system. However, relations between the two worlds take a deadly turn as rebel colonists take over Shrelkin 3 and turn against their mother world. To prevent the conflict from escalating into full-scale war, Starfleet orders Captain Kirk and the Enterprise to moderate the dispute. On arrival, Kirk sends Spock and McCoy to investigate the rebels' claims, but seconds after beaming down, the two officers are taken hostage and then, according to censors, killed. Devastated by his loss, Kirk must try to learn the truth behind the mysterious rebellion that has claimed the lives of his two closest friends. Kirk's investigation leads him to uncover a dangerous plot against the Federation, a plot driven by revenge that may make the Federation's highest law, the Prime Directive, an instrument of violence and destruction. What a good one to end on. Ooh! That sounds so good. Ooh, that one's going to be a good one. I'm very excited. So I went to the sale with one of my best friends, and before I found all of these, she found this book. So this was the signal that it was going to be a good day. The Physics of Star Trek. So not only do I have a science book to read for book check, but it's a Star Trek adjacent science book to read for book check. So I'm excited. Lawrence M. Krauss. The man, the myth, the legend, Lawrence Krauss. Forward, Stephen Hawking. She told me, she lifted it out of the stacks, and I snatched it right out of her hands as soon as I could. She knew what she had found. She's not a Star Trek fan, so it's not like I was stealing it from her or anything like that, but yeah, so, ooh, and we got some pictures. I like this at the top. It says, this book was not prepared, approved, licensed, or endorsed by any entity involved in creating or producing the Star Trek television series or films. I don't care. Krauss and Hawking wrote it. Krauss wrote it, Hawking wrote the forward. Anyway. What warps when you're traveling at warp speed? What's the difference between the holodeck and a hologram? What happens when you get beamed up? What is the difference between a wormhole and a black hole? What is antimatter, and why does the Enterprise need it? Are time loops really possible? And can I kill my grandmother before I am born? They're asking the hard-hitting questions in this book. Discover the answers to these and many other fascinating questions as a renowned physicist and dedicated trekker explores the physics of Star Trek. And then it has, from the forward by Stephen Hawking, it says, today's science fiction is often tomorrow's science fact. The physics that underlies Star Trek is surely worth investigating. To confine our attention to terrestrial matters would be to limit the human spirit. I am so excited that I got this book. This is going to be a very good read. I can't pretend to understand most of what goes on in physics, but it does fascinate me. I love reading about physics, learning about physics, watching documentaries or YouTube videos about physics. So, yeah. So that was all of Star Trek. We're almost done with the book haul. 2 more books. Piers Anthony, The Isle of Women. A novel of human history. I know Piers Anthony is a very problematic figure, author, whatever. But I happen to love his books, his Xanth books at least, and I collect them. And so I started to just go ahead and collect all Piers Anthony books. So hopefully I like this one. I do like the cover. It's very pretty. As vividly exciting as The Clan of the Cave Bear, which is another one that's on my TBR list. A magnificent saga of passion, heroism, and survival, Piers Anthony's Isle of Women is a tale like no other ever written. It is nothing less than the story of humanity itself, from its savage origins to its troubled future, told through the lives of one family reborn throughout history. At once grand in scope and intimate in human detail, Isle of Woman tells the story of a man and a woman born at the dawn of human history, separated by fate, yet united by an unquenchable passion that even time cannot conquer. Blaze, the fireworker who raised his kind out of savagery, and Ember, the beautiful green-eyed woman who forever haunted his dreams. Isle of Woman is a powerful and prophetic masterwork from one of the best-selling storytellers of our time. So, it's the biggest Piers Anthony book that I own. So, thickest. So, that'll be fun. That'll be interesting. And then last, but certainly not least, good old Bill Bryson. I love him. I loved the first book that I read by him was the one about the Appalachian Trail, which for some reason the title is completely escaping me. Something about a bear. I can't remember. And then the next one I read after that was In a Sunburned Country. And I already wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail, but his book made me want to hike it even more. But I had never really had a passing fancy to ever visit Australia. But after I read In a Sunburned Country, I was like, I've got to fucking go. So now Australia is very high on my bucket list of places to go before I die. So anyway, I haven't read Notes from a Small Island. So I'm going to read that first because this says more Notes from a Small Island. But this says The Road to Little Dribbling. Bill Bryson, his humor in his books, it cracks me up. Like belly laughs, like can't contain myself laughter. He is hilarious. So I'm very excited. 20 years ago, Bill Bryson went on a trip around the green and kindly island that had become his adopted country. The hilarious book that resulted, Notes from a Small Island, became the best-selling travel book ever and was voted in a BBC poll the book that best represents Britain. Now, to mark the 20th anniversary of that modern classic, Bryson makes a brand new journey around Britain, following, but not too closely, a route he dubs the Bryson Line. From Bognor Regis to Cape Wrath, he sets out to rediscover the wondrously beautiful, magnificently eccentric, endearingly unique country that he thought he knew but doesn't altogether recognize anymore. Yet, despite Britain's occasional failings and more or less eternal bewilderments, Bill Bryson is still pleased to call this rainy island home. And not just because of the cream teas, a noble history, and an extra day off at Christmas. Once again, with his unerring eye for the idiotic, the endearing, the ridiculous, and the scandalous, Bryson gives us an acute, funny, and perspective insight into all that is best and worst about Britain today. So, yeah, this one's very beat up. This one, like, fell into a bathtub at one point in its life or something, or got left out in the rain, or sundering in the pool. I don't know. But it's still legible, so that's all that matters to me. I'm not usually too picky about how my books look. But yeah, I don't even know how many books that was. I'll count them and I'll put that in the thumbnail or something, so you guys will have already known how many I was going to haul just now. But yeah, stoked. Absolutely over the moon. So if you made it this far, thank you. Again, I will probably, my attempt is to, for Book Trek this year, is to start with the first of the Next Generation books and make my way through in numerical order for them. But if you are also reading for Book Trek, what books are you reading? What books of any of these others that weren't Star Trek related piques your interest, if any? Yeah, did you guys enjoy the haul? I don't do a lot of book shopping. I have a lot of books already at home, and so I try to be mindful, and I always buy secondhand, so it's not like I'm in need of like the newest like best sellers or anything like that. But let me know if you guys liked watching me get more books or not. I always like watching other people's haul videos. It's like living vicariously through them. So hopefully you guys had fun. Anyway, thanks. Have a good one.